have a second? I call the question in motion. Those in favor, let me know, raise your right hand. Last Tuesday, I attended the Middle Georgia Consortium meeting representing our community for that purpose. Mr. Dunn McRae, Middle Georgia Consortium is the agency that implements the Workforce Investment Act for the 10-county area, which includes Georgia, us, Twiggs. His comments at that time was that the last funding budget submitted by the Congress defunded the program, took all the funds away, which in effect the end result is no further Middle Georgia control. There's still funding to get through the June time frame, which was committed, but if it goes forth with the approval of the budget that they have approved, it will be taken completely off of the issue. And I would like to say that the Middle Georgia Consortium has done a tremendous job over the years of retraining displaced workers, as well as working with the youth, providing training for our communities. We've had a number of young ladies who just worked in the office here that's done part of that. And not only here, but in some of the other offices. Basically, I just wanted the board to be aware that of that potential loss of resources. Some of the data I have here, and I'll share it with you on the briefing of how, or the effect of what the Middle Georgia Consortium does and has done for the different areas, and their effect from the standpoint of employment and retraining of people that have lost their jobs. The current, as a matter of fact, July 1st, 2010 through December 31st, 2010, Twiggs County had 15 people, citizens, enrolled in retraining, and had, of course, the one person working the job search issue, and then, of course, the total number of youth, I think, was the total between the city and county of about 15 youth that have had employment for a year. Bottom line, we cannot control what Congress or the other peoples do in terms of funding. I just wanted to present it to the board that I think is a worthy program, both in the adult retraining program and both in the youth training program, that be worth the efforts of this board to go on record to our elected officials that we see the merits of the program, that we would like for them to consider refunding or continuing the funding of. Unless a quick down and dirty assessment of it, but we all do know that their budget adjustments are real, and the end results, it may or may not have effect, but I think we'd be missing the opportunity if we did not go forth with some letter from this board saying that we did have good results from their efforts and that we'd like to continue funding of that program. So anything else that I can share of clarity, I'll do my best, but this the Workforce Investment Act has been in place since '96, and before that it was a different program that goes way back. And you might remember that Bibb County was a part of this Middle Georgia Consortium until they decided back in several administrations ago to go on their own and be their own peoples. So with that, I would just ask for a motion that we go forth with a letter of request to our elected congressmen and senators asking for reconsideration of reinstatement of funds to it, or some less than that.
May I add something to that?
Certainly.
Not only should this be supported, but there are other federal programs that are being cut as well, and especially when it comes to the little children, those pre-K programs and other programs of that nature. It might be wise, and I don't know if you want to do more than one letter, but there are other programs as well that we may want to support. I definitely want to support this one, but then I guess it would be a decision that we'd have to make if we want to write one for each program or just one letter for other programs out there that are also being defunded 100% and that we might want to support.
That's a good point, Mr. Simpson. I have no reservations in doing a letter for each and every need out there as we view it. I would not want to lose the opportunity or sight of specifically to some particular need, but if you'll continue to bring that to the attention of us, and I will too, and any of the other commissioners, that we would go in. And I think I understand your point of having a general letter, but sometimes too general. You just get the point there across. And so I again would recommend that we be open and aware of these shortcomings, and each one that knows of it, bring it to the board and let us go forth with that. And thank you for mentioning that.
We just take an individual.
They're all important and very important. So, but I think that, as a matter of fact, this particular list here, and I know that I don't have copies, and I will make copies, but it is an indication of the programs that have been eliminated by defunding. And I think I'll make copies and get it in each everybody's hands, because it includes the Department of Labor, Department of Education, Department of Human Services.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to leave with your permission.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
When you gonna be back with me?
Would you make copies of that, Garner, and come on back with me? For all of them, and because it's, well, again,
That would not be a problem though, sending individual letters to each of the programs. Don't want to hold this one up until we get to go and do this and then add to the list we found.
In
thank you.
addition to that, I think it would be appropriate to write a letter concerning the library. You know, we requested in our hearing last week that we not only write to the appropriate people, but also visit in person, send a delegation to talk to those people. But I think it would be appropriate to anyone from the entire board and then follow up.
So, and that, Mr. Bryant?
Let me ask you this question. How many state and federal programs on that list?
Getting a copy made right now, Commissioner Bryant, is considerable.
Well,
When you say state, it's all federal programs that are identified on this listing that I'm sharing with you.
Well, now, if I'm not mistaken, the government, as of today, they are still continuing with CRs, and they're gonna cut $4 billion out as of February. And this ain't gonna go continuing until the 1st of October, because they doesn't have an 11 budget, and so they're gonna continue passing CR until then, and they're supposed to be cutting $4 billion. I think them programs, that's why you got that. That's why you got that list there.
I understand, and that's going to be, again, well, point out, Mr. Bryant, I don't know that you can
The Republican.
stymie anything that you, that has been planned, but this, what I'm handing to you is the listing of the programs that were advocated for elimination of funding.
Mhm.
And you can see that they talk about duplications as more as anything else, but actually, we all know that a lot of times duplications is not, it's not construed properly, because you might say, well, you've got other services there that can be made to meet the same needs, but that's not so.
You're right, but what I can understand here I'm marking off 3 programs that I see 1, 2. I can understand is that the way the government views certain people, I'm looking at this here, the veteran. How they outreach program for disabled veterans, they gonna cut that. And local veteran programs, representative program, they cutting that. Those veterans goes over there and die and be parade up and down the road and talking about how we love our veterans. And make sure we send a letter on that behalf. Make sure we send a letter on behalf of the veterans that went and fight in these wars for these same folk that cutting us ain't picked up a gun or rifle, bullet and went nowhere but stayed here. You make sure we send a letter to the veteran, to whoever we send these letters to, about the veteran program, what they done to veterans now. Make sure we send that letter.
Again, Mr. Bryant, anything worthwhile that the board sees fit to do, we can follow through with, but it's more specific.
It is worthwhile.
More specific now at this point in time, without getting too far away from the subject. As I mentioned again, the Middle Georgia Consortium is one that for employment purposes, and that was brought to the table. And then I heard the addition of the library board. Of course, we had mentioned that, and as Senator Brown and Representative Epps informed us about that need to put that together. So I would specifically like to put it in two factions, and I would entertain a motion that we do send a letter supporting the Workforce Investment Act program. Do I have one to do that from the standpoint of the board?
So moved.
Do I have a second to do that? We had lengthy discussion already. I called a question and motion to fair let me know raise your right hand. And then secondly, it was the
Abstain, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Commissioner. The letter of interest and intent from the library fund. Do you have a motion to follow?